Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, According to Zehra, where all opinions are, according to Zehra, me. Now with the obvious pandemic situation going on, I haven't really had the opportunity to go to bookstores or peruse through books in general. Honestly, I haven't actually been to a physical bookstore since February 2020, so it's been a bit over a year, which is not, I'm not a huge book buyer, so it's all fine. Anyways, and because I'm not a huge book buyer, my shelves are normally just populated with books I've already read or that I plan to immediately read. However, there are always still a few stragglers that just have been sitting on my shelf for ages. Currently, all of the books I've read so far this year, I would say at least 90%, if not 100% of them, have been, no, not 100%, okay, at least maybe 90 to at least maybe 90% of the books that I've read this year have all been ebooks, or audiobooks, or some sort of digital formatted book. Now before we actually get into the video, there's always the debate between the ebook and the physical book, and honestly, I'm very neutral on this subject. I choose to be neutral on most things unless they ask for a polarized opinion. However, I will say that my reading experience is really just transformed with ebooks, mostly because I'm a dummy, so whenever I see a word that I don't know, I normally just don't know it. However, with ebook, I can look it up. I mean, I still don't look it up, but I can look it up if I have the choice. I can also highlight things and go back to things and bookmark things, and everything is just stored on the cloud, and it's just so easy. Most of my e-reading is actually just done through my phone, whether that be through Google Play Books or with Cloud Library, which is the e-library that my city's library actually uses. And it's just super convenient, and I'm honestly just sold on the whole idea of having the ebook because it's just so much easier to do literally everything with the ebook. Of course, there's also the downfall that my book is now my phone, so if I do get a notification, unless my phone is on airplane mode, very minimal reading actually gets done. So when I'm tuned into an ebook, everything has to be shut up and I have to have no sort of tie or anchor to the real world. So today, in the spirit of my current ebook lifestyle, I bring to you my ebook nightstand. The ebook nightstand is the digital virtual version of what would be on my nightstand if I had these books in the physical copy. And for reference, the nightstand is normally where I keep most of the books I'm reading when I do have the physical copy because they are an easy access from my bed. The beauty of the ebook shelf is that it's super rotational. For instance, when I'm done with an ebook or when I'm no longer reading an ebook, I can just remove it from my downloads library and it just kind of floats back up into the cloud and I can just download it back onto my phone whenever I want. Again, super accessible. So I like the rotational aspect in that you only really need to have a few books on your plate, so it really is just a nightstand with a few handful of books that I'm currently rotating through because I'm always reading multiple books at a time. That's enough talk. Let's actually get into the books that are sitting on my ebook nightstand. First things first, the first book that is currently sort of top of shelf, so this would be the book on the top. It's The God of Small Things by arundhati. Now this is a book I've been wanting to read since I finished The Ministry of Utmost Happiness last summer because I was absolutely blown away by Roy's writing and the way she was just able to craft such a beautiful South Asian landscape or environment. I hadn't really ever read sort of South Asian lit before, and I just did not know that it was what I needed. The story of The Ministry of Utmost Happiness wasn't anything super phenomenal for me, to be honest. I did have my fair amount of critiques about it. However, the writing style really absolutely blew me out of the waters. So, The God of Small Things is her debut novel, and it's also the one for which she won the Booker Prize. And so, it has a lot of selling points on it already. So the book takes place, or sets off, in 1970s, 1969 Kerala, India, and it primarily follows the story of two sort of fraternal twins. So the story, as I am a sucker for family sagas, it sprawls across time, across generations, and covers various different navigational plot points and events that the family sort of has to navigate. Roy's writing is certainly very unique. It's also super disorienting when you first pick it up. And also, one of my critiques of her is that it is kind of unapproachable at times. There are things that, I have no idea what she's talking about. And even if I were to kind of look them up, I would not find any answers because she likes to use her own terminology. So something maybe a notes at the end would really kind of just be suitable for the reader, so they'd have a bit more of an understanding of what she's talking about at times. The overall premise of the novel is how life can really just change from small things. And I'm really excited to explore what exactly that means because I've only done the first chapter so far. Next up, we got another very famous, very notable family saga book, and it's Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. Now this book has been everywhere for the last few years, and it's finally of wound away onto my shelf. This story begins in around the 1900s in Korea and also kind of comes into Japan as well, and it follows a vast cast of characters over the course of multiple years. It shifts through the family over the course of generations and different relationships, and it really just speaks on the impact displacement has, the effect of war, and also modernization. The history is a really integral point of the story and the way a story tells the different events of the novel. It's a long time coming to be on my shelf because it's just completely up my alley, and I'm just really excited to get immersed in this huge, gigantic bulk of a book. Third up, we've got Mirages of the Mind by Mushtaq, Ahmad, Yousufi. So I came across this novel when I was looking for more suppressed South Asian literature writers, and I'm especially excited to dive into this world. It basically follows the story of these Indian Muslims that have to relocate to Pakistan after the 1947 partition. The book is described as the sort of sweet, melancholic slice of life sort of novel, and it follows various individuals painting the sketches of their everyday sort of lives. It's set to thread multiple stories into one, as characters are super nostalgic for what used to be their home, and it's about the idea of building a new home. I'm really excited to dive into this world, and also side note, it is translated fiction. I believe it's translated from Urdu. Okay, number 4, and I have the audiobook version of this book actually, and it is Blue Nights by Joan Didion. So a few years back, I read The Year of Magical Thinking by Didion, and I absolutely loved it. It painted such a beautiful picture of grief following the death of Joan Didion's husband John, and it really just was super lavish. Like Joan Didion and her family, she lives a super lavish life. She's very high profile writer in Hollywood and in magazines, and she lives a super privileged, rich, white life. Kind of the portrait of grief, it was set in this beautiful Hawaiian landscape in New York summers, and it was just super fun to read about her lifestyle as she talked about the death of her husband. I'm sounding insensitive, I know. However, it was just really fun to read and even think that you could relate to anything she was saying, because you really couldn't. So in the same line of thought, I added Blue Nights to my list as well, and this is the book that she wrote following her daughter's death, Quintana. It has a lot to do again with the ideas of parenting and her Joan Didion herself growing old, and a little less handling grief, but more so again about the bond that a mother has with her daughter. Okay, now the final book that's been on rotation on my shelf is The Secrets of Divine Love, A Spiritual Journey into the Heart of Islam by 𝐒𝐿. So I picked up this book during Ramadan to kind of revive my heart because it's just been feeling so dead and just not passionate towards anything as of late, and all my escape has been genuinely through Korean variety shows. So I started this one, and it was super smooth reading. However, it was super new agey, spiritual, that sort of stuff, which for me, someone who doesn't normally tend to read a lot of new age spiritual works, it is a little bit of a turnoff at the beginning. However, I know there's a lot of research packed into this book, and it is super impactful about just kind of connecting with yourself, your creator, that sort of stuff. And I am excited to finish it because I've heard a lot of good things about this book. And I will also say that there's a lot of hidden gems so far throughout. She quotes a bunch of scholars and mystics and poets, and there's just some really nice imagery, nice quotes in here, so many Instagram caption quotes. So if you need captions, just open up this book. There's a lot of them. Alright, well, those are the 5 books sitting on my nightstand these days. If you've read any of them, or plan to read any of them, let me know your thoughts down below. But other than that, I hope you're all getting better, doing better, and being better, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!